Greetings, good hearts. So glad you're with us in this topic of about healing. Maybe a good place to start this is to ask, where does sickness come from? Now, maybe we even need to describe what's sickness. One kind of sickness is that it's physical, and another kind is a troubled mind and the disturbance that it causes. The third sickness can be false beliefs about circumstances outside yourself. They're varied in what we could call sickness. So now, under that circumstance, where does sickness come from? Does it come from God? Does God give you sickness? One of my friends raised that issue and said, I wonder if God gave me a sickness in order to make me aware of something. Now, your own opinion, looking at this topic. Do you believe that God would give you an illness in order to accomplish a correction inside yourself? If it's yes, that's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. A God that would give us sickness. Now, I have not experienced that God. My God that I know, who has shown himself to me, and indeed shown herself to me, because in other discussions on this YouTube site, you know that Mary has been revealed to me as Mother God. And so when I speak of God, I'm speaking of the God that's shown to me, which is Mary as Mother God and Jesus as Father God. I have not experienced a Mary or Jesus as a deliverer of sickness. Now you might say, but yeah, why don't they stop sickness when it occurs? What about people with all kinds of diseases that are so causing of suffering? I don't believe that they cause that. I've just not experienced it. And as you read the footletter of Notes Divine, you make your own decision as to whether or not this is a loving God or this is a punishing God. You have to make your own decisions on it, because I can't convince you one way or another. I can plant the seed to say to you, if you have questions in this area, then you're right to be able to seek answers. And I encourage that, to ask God whether or not you have a true attitude about the causing of illness. I'm saying that illness essentially comes from our own minds. For instance, at times I'll be up and around and I'm feeling like I have a cold or done in some way, and it affects me. And I really think, I've got symptoms of this cold or the headache or whatever it is. And then it dawns on me. And that dawning, by the way, is God nudging me that, wait a minute, God does not want me sick. I know my God. It's always a loving God who's always encouraging me to be the fullest that I can be. And I turn to this God and I say, wait a minute, God, just a minute. You didn't make me sick. And so if sickness is occurring to me, I'm letting in that sickness. And then I begin to pray it. Lord, Mother Mary, I have no wish to be sick. There is a belief in my human mind that I can be sick, and I choose not to have this belief. I believe that I am the fullness of you, that when it said that I'm created in your likeness and your image, you're not sick. You don't suffer sickness. And therefore, it cannot be that in my spirit state, in my soul state, in my soul mind, there cannot be the presence of sickness. It's not possible except for me to believe something like that, which then permits a sickness to occur. But I notice that the symptoms clear when I go to God with it and say, there is no way that I can be sick except to believe in it, and I reject that belief in sickness, and I declare myself to be well, and I hand myself to you to assist in this process of me recovering the truth of myself. And I get it. Symptoms will clear. Now, does this make sense to you? Does it seem to you that it's hard to believe that there is some kind of a connection between what we think and what we feel? And the only way you're going to find out is if you give it a test, and you yourself would wish that what I have been saying is true, and that we need to go to God in order to ask God's help for the clearing of these symptoms, be they a troubled mind, be they a troubled body, a sickened body, because the body simply follows where the mind is at. It follows the thought of the mind. The body doesn't have a mind of its own. The body follows whatever the mind is at. And whatever the mind is feeling, the body reveals these kinds of symptoms. And you can see they can get pretty serious at times with depression and chronic illnesses, the things that get carried on because of the constant being of the human mind present to you. Serious, serious stuff. But it's you who has to decide, do you want to accept sickness as a reality, or would you rather believe that sickness is an illusion that is made up by our human mind and therefore occurs because we're wishing it. We're wishing it. To believe that you can be sick is virtually a wish to believe that. It's a wish. It's not a reality because God did not cause it, and God has no wish for it. And so if it is you that is opening a path to your mind to believe in sickness, then we have to find out how do we get away from that path in order to provide a healing. And that's what we're going to go into in the next segment.